Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reignite Your Soul. I have the most incredible guest here today with me, my mom, June Plahuta. And fun fact, I started calling her June just recently because there's literally such magic in removing all of these labels. And she is so much more than just a mom to me. So I'm really excited to have her on the podcast today. And on Reignite Your Soul, we are all about expanding minds and opening hearts to an entirely new way of being. And obviously, being my mom, she has literally been with me since birth. And I feel like she has raised me to be a pretty incredible person. And she's actually been a major part in my journey. It's just really been the last 5 years that our relationship has really grown. And I know people are always like, oh, I love when June's on your story, Junie Bear. And everybody just loves you so much. So I'm really excited just to have you here on the podcast today, Mom. And June. Still old habits. And we figured we'd come on here today and just chat about kind of our relationship and how my mom has really helped me to personally expand my own mind and open my heart to an entirely new way of being, because I was a completely different person 5 years ago, even a year ago. And she was really kind of the beginning point of breaking me out of the cycle where I was in when I was addicted to work. I was addicted to success. I was addicted to finances and having this external appearance that just didn't really allow me to be happy and feel fulfilled. Yet I was doing what I thought was right in the moment. So thank you, Mom, for never giving up on me.
No, it's been my pleasure. You've been a challenge at times, but it's all been worth it. And I'm honored to be your mom and June and your friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess maybe do you want to share a little bit more about your story and your journey? Because I know before I even started kind of going on my own self-discovery journey, you have such an incredible story, right back from when you were a child. And I know you've been learning so much about your own self and your patterns, and going through the spiral has really helped you to be able to start bringing more of that stuff up as well. So maybe if you just want to even just go off on a tangent and literally just whatever comes to your heart that you want to share from your own personal journey, so that everybody can kind of just a bit more about who you grew up, what your life has been, and then where you're at right now, because I know you've had some incredible big changes that you have currently just made in your life just in this last little bit that I know a lot of people will definitely resonate with, especially in this time.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, I'll just start by saying that as a child, I'm the firstborn of four children, and my parents they split up. They had a bit of a hard time, split up when I was 12 years old. So my father was an alcoholic as well. I should just add that in there too. So it wasn't really he was a hard worker, but not always responsible. So I got to see a lot of things that, probably a lot of little kids should not really see. But, I just figured that's just all, that's just part of my journey. And I never really thought too much of it growing up. But as time progressed and, you wonder why you do a lot of things in time, I don't know, it comes back where you realize all these little things that I thought were just how it was, they actually were traumas in my life that affected me throughout. And it just kind of, it leads you to where you're going next. I don't know, I don't want to tell you my whole life story because there's just so much in there, but I'll just say that I had to take on a lot of responsibilities at a young age just to help my mother, a single mom with 4 kids, and life happens and all the things that go on in that time. So anyway, I didn't finish high school. I did an apprenticeship and I was a hairstylist and went to Toronto. So I was again off doing things at a young age that, I know that all these things were good for me. So it was just all part of my journey that brought me to where I am today. And so I was successful in whatever I did. Like it was, like life was good. It wasn't all bad or anything, but I just always felt like there was, I don't know, like I was never really, although I was successful, I always felt like I wasn't really enough. Like, and I don't know, like I had high expectations in some ways, but I still had this underlying feeling of, I wasn't enough, or I wasn't good enough, or pretty enough, or whatever. So anyway, I got married when I was 25, and then went on, had three kids, the two girls, and then Sean came along, and married to a wonderful man. Yeah, he was a really good provider of like all the material things in life, and a good person. But we've been together for 34 years, and just, I guess in the past 6 years, I would say, I just went through a lot of changes myself. Like I just, I found, and I think a lot of you will relate to this, like as we get older, we just get less tolerant with a lot of things. We start to think about, ourselves, and time's kind of moving on, and you get thinking like, wow, like, my life has always been about doing for everybody else. It was like, my siblings, my mom, my parents, my my own children, and just trying to be the best mom that I could be, and make sure that they got all the things that I never got as a child. Like I just really was very conscious of that and wanted them to have the best life. That, and I mean, in that too, even having the best intentions, like you make mistakes, you say things that maybe come across the way you don't mean them, but I mean, that's just, you just have to go on, and nobody's perfect, we're human, and we do the best we can, and that's okay. But as long as everything's coming from a good place, I find it's okay. You can forgive yourself for a lot of these little things that were not the best things. But anyway, so to go on, so about 6 years ago, I decided I needed to make a change in my life. So like with my job too, I was working in a dental office at that time, and I was finding I was just having a lot of trouble with just interacting with people, like just in an office setting. That got to be a real challenge for me. Anyway, I took some time off of that, and I ended up realizing it wasn't an environment that I should be in, and moved forward. And that was really the beginning of this too. Like it kind of led me to other things. And I, like in that time as well, like I think a lot of people will also relate to this. You have a lot of I don't know, like it's almost like I had a lot of health challenges as well, like through this. And I realize now that it's all stress related. Like when your body's not aligned, it just, all these things come to the surface. And then I know, just like many people, like I went to my doctor, and, she would recommend try this, try that. And I tried different things, for depression, and, I had fibromyalgia too. And I had Crohn's as a child too, like from a young age, Crohn's and colitis, things like that, just like all through all these years. And anyway, so it all came to a head, and I just decided I don't like the way all these medications are making me feel. Like I'm just not doing this anymore. And it was almost like, I don't know, something just changed within me, and I really realized the value of, like I knew something was missing, and what I did find was that was the nutrition, what I was actually putting into my body. Even when I thought I was eating healthy, like I truly wasn't really, like knowing what I know now. And I really find that like just talking to a lot of my clients nowadays, like I realize that people just they don't, like they only know what they know, right? Or they don't know what they don't know, however you want to say it. But we do the best we can with good intentions sometimes, but it's just not, not quite what we need. But I just, I just know that by making changes in my own life and taking it more into my own hands and going more by my feelings and my own thoughts of putting two and two together, and like not just being told what to do all the time, just I don't know, it's almost like a little trigger I got. Like no one was going to tell me what to do anymore. I was just going to do what felt right for me. And I mean, I did generally do that in life. Like I used my intuition. I feel like I was always pretty intuitive, but it was just funny how it switched from that everybody else to me. And then it made it easier for me to kind of go more aware of my own feelings. I always had the intuitiveness there, but I never really was aware of it. Like I got to that point where I was more in control of things, and it just really opened up my mind and to try new things. And like, it's just amazing. Like when you do that, the ripple effect that it has, and it just like, I mean, I always tried to be healthy and do exercising and things like that, but I never would have imagined myself going to CrossFit, but I did that, and I loved it. And I could see the progression of my getting stronger than I had ever been in my life. Like, so like it's such an incredible journey. Like when you realize like you don't have to get older feeling old. Like, and I think we just get programmed to believe that getting older is kind of a bad thing, and your time is numbered, your days are numbered, and you have to just kind of settle for, well, that's how it is when you get older. Like I hear so many people say that now, and I'm so aware of it, knowing how I feel now. I think, oh, if you only knew, like it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to settle. It's up to us what we do, and it just, I don't know. I don't know if you want to add anything into that, Laura, that I maybe am missing, but.
No, I think that was absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I know like your light and your vibrance that you have right now, like you're literally glowing, and it hasn't always been that way, which is just so incredible to see, because when we see somebody that we know go through this, we now see it's possible. Right? It's like it expands our mind and our reality to what could potentially be. And I know that you were that thing for me, to really help me get out of my slump where I was. And maybe you could just share a little bit more about what it looked like for you and what it felt like 6 years ago when you were kind of in that, because I feel like there's so many things. I'd love to have you more on the podcast, because there's so many things that we could talk about with everything that you shared about from your upbringing and everything that you've learned about how these patterns have really impacted you moving forward, your relationships, about all of the health conditions you've had, the importance of nutrition, how you've really changed your mindset, how you never see anything as like bad that you're aging, how you've completely switched that narrative to coming from a place of abundance, right? It's like we've been so conditioned in society to come from this place of lack and scarcity, as if like time is running out, when in reality time is our biggest asset when we see it that way. And like you've really like shown me and taught me that time is an asset, and that we can do, be, and have anything with that time, when we apply ourselves and we get intentional. So maybe for this podcast episode, if you would be open to sharing a little bit more, like what did it look like for you when you were in that place 6 years ago? What were the things you were struggling with at that point that kind of created this void for you to be able to start seeing a new reality for yourself, where you kind of had that light bulb moment and started making that shift from where you were doing everything for everybody else to then taking care of yourself?
Okay. Well, truthfully, in that time, I was in a car accident. So we were on the 401, and it was like the most random kind of accident. We were in the 401, my husband and I, coming home from Toronto, and it was stop and go. It was a long weekend in August, and just out of nowhere, like I don't even know how it would happen, a car came and hit us from the side. Like we were actually stopped on the 401. A car came from the side, another lane, and hit the back end of his truck at that time, which just the way I had been leaning forward, like the way it hit me, like it kind of jolted. I ended up with a whiplash and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I never really thought of it at the time, but that was definitely a call, like a message from the universe. It was like a whack in the head for me. And it was around that time. And honestly, it was literally a whack in the head, but it was something that just really awakened me to get onto this new journey, a new part of my journey, which really taught me so much. Like, so at that time, like, I know that, like through your insurance and whatever, like we ended up, there was a lawsuit, between the other person and myself. And that took like a few years in that time as well. And I just remember too, like it just, that really brought so much into my awareness, just all those things of going through, like the focus was on the accident, like at that point, and the focus was on my body and all the things that weren't right, like what was hurting me, and all those negative things. And from that, like that, I mean, I let that go for a little while, but then I really came to the realization that, wow, like the more that I'm running to the doctors, and had to go to like so many different doctors who really honestly told me nothing that was of value. It was all about making a case, right? Making a case. Like nothing was really helping me as a person.
Just
So
doing their
like I
due
really,
diligence, more or less.
exactly, yeah. So I was just
Yeah.
going to all these different doctors, just doing what I was told, really. But it wasn't until like I really thought for myself, and I thought like, what's really happening here? Like, I mean, it just showed me how things are so money driven. And I think maybe coming from a childhood that was, like money was scarce. I'm very open and honest about that. Like, I mean, we had secondhand clothes, we had clothes from our cousins and stuff like that growing up. And my mom did the best she could, but I mean, but she was always there for us. The most important things were always there. But it just made me think about, like, when I got married, like I married into a family that had money and abundance in so many ways, but it was very money focused as well. So, but it just, like, I don't know, it's funny how it just, all this came into play, and it just really made me think different. It, like, I mean, we were very fortunate to, like have a lot of abundance in our life, like, with my children and husband and family. But it just, I don't know, that was just like, that's a part of it on my journey, but it also opened up all this, um, like, I don't know, I just had so much trust in, like, my doctor was like, it was almost like a friendship that we had. We were pretty close in age, even like when my last doctor there, and like family doctor, and it was almost, I don't know, I got so that I was almost disappointed in some of the outcomes of things, like just it, like, I felt like it was a friendship, but then all these little things just kind of made me think, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, I can't even explain it, honestly. Things just didn't really feel right within me. So I decided, again, that's when I kind of went into thinking for myself and not letting my doctor tell me exactly what I should do. And then also just making choices, like with my job, like I just decided, like, this is, I mean, this is not doing my health any good. Like, I'm not, I don't know, it just wasn't an environment that I could thrive in. It was just, like just going to work. And I mean, I went to work and I was I did the extra. I stayed there longer. I wanted everything to be just perfect. Like, I had a perfectionism problem too at that time. But it's so incredible how all these things happened, like after that accident. It just like opened up this, I don't know, just different awareness in so many different ways. And even financially, like it just made me think about what's really important. Like, like we had so much, or have so much, but yet all these things in the big picture really are not the most important things. Like, we get caught up in that, just having all these things just because we can, or just because so and so is doing this or whatever. Like, we don't really necessarily take that time to feel within ourselves, like sometimes I'd find like we just go like, what, I don't have anything else to do, I'll just go to Winners, see what I can find, right? Like, I mean, it's a lot of times we're just so mindless, we just go and do things, but it's just brought this, I don't know, I've been so much more mindful about everything I do, and it's I don't know, it's just evolved into this, I feel like a different person, like I feel more aligned, I'm more at peace. I've actually made bigger decisions too, and decided to end my marriage after 34 years and just take that time and have my own space. And like I'm still in a transitional time, but I really feel like things are happening as they're meant to be. And this is, it's now my time. Like I've always been a person that wants to help others, but I can help others in other ways, I've realized. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I have found ways that have helped me, and I just want to share them to anybody who's open to learning. And, that's all I can do. And I feel like that's part of my purpose of being here, is just to help people that want to help themselves, because so many people like
Totally.
myself, in the beginning, you really don't know where to turn, and you do trust your doctors and whatever. And I mean, it's a non, like, I mean, I would still be on medications and going to doctors, and I would probably have got that thing just because everybody is told to do it. I mean, I always, in the past, I was compliant with all that stuff, not because I didn't know any better, but
Mhm.
I think, like we really need to look a little bit deeper into everything we do, and just really come from a place of within, allow ourselves that time to feel and really acknowledge what's really inside us, and not all that external chatter that's out there.
I love that. I think one of the biggest things I've learned from you is just to really question, right? Like become curious again, like even how you're sharing about being at the doctor. And it's like, that's what we know to do, right? When we're sick, we go to the doctor. Yet there's so many ways. I was listening to something the other day. And I know I mentioned this in the last one with my last podcast episode with Sophia, where we're turning into this society where when something is wrong, like we'll turn to our astrologer or to our naturopath or to like more holistic ways of being, right? Looking at nutrition, because that's truly like the root of everything that our body's made up of, comes from and gets built from what we put into our bodies. And a lot of the time we just haven't been taught to be able to think of those things. And it's incredible with your story too. It's like, I know I've shared this before as well, but we learn through either trauma, or we create change either through trauma or through repetition. And a lot of the things within our own stories, it comes from those traumatic events. And it's when we're in those moments that we can't see the biggest blessings that we are, because emotions, they cover the clarity of what they are. And it's now that you've been so far on your journey and you've been able to do all of this deep inner healing from all of those mini traumas. And I think in a society, we underestimate what these mini traumas actually do energetically in our body, which is one of the things that I'm so passionate now about learning, is like how these dense frequencies within our body actually impact our health and our well-being. And a lot of the things that you shared, like when you were in that place after that car accident and having to go and do this and do this and do this, all of these different things that you were just being told to do, and you just had to follow those rules, yet you understood that it was just a waste of your time and it wasn't actually moving you forward. It was just like you had to do it so that you could get your money then for the claim, which is fine, because that money then you then took and you also used that money to be able to move you forward along your health journey. And I know from knowing your story personally, like you started by going to the hospital and you were doing sessions there. And you, like, maybe you could explain just some of the things that you've kind of picked up along your path, just very briefly, of all of the types of things that you've tried, because I think that's one of the biggest things, is that we have to open up our minds and expand our minds to trying new things, because we don't know what works until we try it. And it's so easy for us to say, oh, somebody else got bad results with this, or it didn't work for this person, so it won't work for me. Yet every single human body is different. Every single human body has experienced different things in their life. They have different traumas, they have different belief systems, they have different thoughts. And like actually made up differently with different genetics and different DNA. So we truly live in this world where we can look at what other people do and be inspired, but we can't say a for sure. Nothing in this lifetime is a for sure. So maybe you could just explain a little bit more about like all of the different things that you've tried, because you have been very open-minded in
Yeah.
trying a lot of things, and a lot of those things that weren't necessarily, they're becoming mainstream now because of the results people have got. But back then when you were doing them, like they weren't mainstream. You were kind of like one of those trailblazers, which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say that before I start to get into that, I really feel like the way the healthcare system is now is more, to me, healthcare is more the things that I have tried recently. I think of the old healthcare, the way it used to be, going, for me personally, going to the doctor all the time for everything that was wrong and trusting they were going to do the right thing for me. I think of that now more as sick care rather than
Yeah,
healthcare,
yeah.
because
Yeah, it's reactive,
it's,
it's not
mhm,
proactive, right? And I think that's the biggest, it's such an incredible point, because it's like it's moving into a proactive approach opposed to a reactive approach. So there's benefits of
exactly.
having a hospital, there's benefits to acute care, like being a paramedic, there's benefits to that, right? Like there's benefits to
Mhm.
surgery, there's benefits to medications and pharmaceuticals. Yet when you understand that, and I know you know this too, that a lot of it was driven off of financial wealth, and the intention behind it was not necessarily to fix a problem, it was to prolong a problem so that it's like a residual income for pharmaceutical companies, and that's like where
Exactly.
a lot of it comes down to.
That's right. That's a whole other story. We can maybe go off on a tangent on that another
Yeah.
time, but
Hmm.
yeah. So I'll tell you some of the things that I started doing. Like in the very beginning, the one thing, like I will say, my doctor did set me up with well, actually it was my chiropractor that set me up. I went to a chiropractor and she was amazing. So she set me up with it was a mental health program at the hospital, which was, I mean, like I just went, like I didn't feel like I was like the old June would have thought, oh, like I'm not going there, like there's nothing wrong with me, like I don't have mental health issues, I'm not crazy, like I know what I'm doing, I'm in control. But honestly, it was like the one of the best things that I could have done. Like it was a good start. It made me, like we did mindfulness, just made me realize what being mindful really is. Like, I mean, we think we know, like I remember just learning about things as simple as like when you're having a shower, like just actually being mindful of like, how does the water feel when it's hitting your body? And like, how does it smell? And like just those little things that, like normally you jump in the shower, you do your thing, you get out, but there's all
Hmm.
these little things
Your
that we
mind's
just,
already thinking about all the things you want to do. You're not actually
exactly.
in the present moment. Yeah.
Exactly. So just being present, like yeah. So I mean, that was the beginning, and that like it just there were other ones as well. Like we learned about like different ways to um, different ways to cope with things that you're going through, like with triggers or with, and even what a trigger is. Like I mean, sometimes you don't even realize what a trigger is. It's just
Hmm.
something sets you off, but it doesn't have to be some big thing. It can be like the smallest thing that you're not
Yeah.
even aware of it. So that was kind of in the beginning, and then learning about tapping, which is a way of coping. Like um, there's
Removing
so many
emotions from
different
your
things
body.
out.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's using the meridian centers in your body, and um, yeah, I did that. We went into a bit of inner child work as well, like doing some interesting things, like with just like drawing pictures with your eyes closed and using your left hand or your opposite hand, and like all these really things that were really kind of like, I mean, they sound like they're out there, but it's amazing what these things do. And then also the other part with that as well was like this was a group. So there were so many other people, and just hearing little bits and pieces of all their stories as well. Like it just really makes you realize like, wow, like, I mean, we're all human. We all think it's just us that see things
Yeah.
in a certain way. It's us that have these problems or issues, or or, whatever. But there are so many people that have like either similar situations, or, I mean, some were much worse, like much worse, but it gives you a different perspective of other people, even in humanity, and the things that people go through that we could never imagine sometimes. So I think that's an important part of it as well, is just learning about, it's just expanding your world, I think. And then I also did things like acupuncture and going to the chiropractor on a regular basis, just, get it when your body's aligned, like it helps to keep everything, it helps with everything. Like, I mean, you could go into check out with a chiropractor exactly what they can do for you. I would really highly recommend it. But I know a lot of people have been against that. I don't know what the reasons are, but, I have
There's
had
always going
really
to be
great,
people.
exactly. I've had really great, what can I say? Experiences, I guess, with chiropractors. And I do go to a couple of different ones. Even still, I go, and just more as a maintenance thing now. And I'll go for massages on a regular basis. And that helps just with, again, it's your physical body, but it also helps like just, giving your mind that rest, and just, and what else? Oh my gosh, I've done different things like with yoga. There's so many different yogas that you can use to your advantage.
Mhm.
Some of them are more, again, about mindfulness and, just kind of letting your mind rest. And other ones are more physical, and you're, just gentle, or else you can do ones that are a little bit more powerful. Like, yeah, that's another thing. I can just explore different things like that. And you don't have to just go to a gym and really, like work out. I mean, I've done that too, but I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be things as simple as going for a walk and just, letting your mind be free and go out in nature. Like, I'm a big nature fan now. I mean, I've had it around me a lot, but I've never really seen the value. Like, we lived on the lake for so many years, and like I mean, I love being at the lake, but I never really realized all the value that it really had there, and all the, I mean, I've always loved the beauty of it and the sounds, but I mean, we take a lot for granted too, but when you really tap into that awareness of what is around you and all the beauty and all the, but there's just so many things to see when we are open to seeing them, that it's amazing. And then also another thing is meditation. And I've done so many different just self-help programs, and read books, self-help books. And now, like, I have to say, like, I really feel like I'm in a good place. I'm very at peace with myself, with my life, where I'm going, my future. I'm very optimistic. I'm going to be 60 this month, and I'm just excited and optimistic about the future. Like, it's like, whoa, like, I'm not dreading being 60. I'm going to celebrate. Like, I'm just so happy to be doing this.
Yeah,
But
we
I
are.
wanted to just add to that, like, after all the things I've done, and even in the place that I'm in right now, I'm doing the spiral with Laura, and it's incredible the things that will come up, that, like, honestly, there's all this stuff that's stuffed in you that over the years, I know you're good at explaining that, Laura, about peeling off, or the layers, but because we stuff so much and keep it in there, like, I mean, think of it like 60 years of compressing all these things, all these traumas and things into my body. Like, no wonder I forget a lot of these things, but when you start to
Mhm.
bring a lot of these things up to the surface, and then clear them out and let them go, like, it's just amazing how like, honestly, I just feel like I keep feeling lighter and lighter and lighter, and I
Yeah.
mean, it at the time, sometimes it's a little bit heavy, but you just have to give yourself a little bit of time to integrate that, and it's like,
Mhm.
wow, like, I don't know, like, it's just like there's so many different things that are not like the normal ways of health that you would think of, but they're truly more
Yeah.
for your health, I believe, than taking medications and all these tests that we go for and whatever. A lot of those I feel are more harmful in the long run. But yeah,
Yeah.
if I could say anything, I would say just be open-minded and really let your inner guidance guide you to what's right for you, not for anyone else.
Yeah, it's it's so incredible, like hearing all of the things that you've done, because I think a lot of the time we feel like we need to wait for the perfect thing, or we like hesitate because we're like, oh, well, what if it isn't the right thing? Or what if this, or what if that, or what if this person doesn't like me doing this or that? But it's like in reality, it's so easy because when you understand how the universe works, you literally attract what you are. So you're always attracting opportunities into your life that are there for you. It doesn't matter which one you choose. It's literally, it's choice, it's freedom. That's what life is.
When you realize, that's all I heard. Sorry.
That's okay. So like when you realize that there's no like right or wrong path to where we're on, right? The universe always blesses us with so many opportunities and puts so many things in front of us, and none of them are wrong. The universe is never going to give us anything that we can't handle. So regardless, whatever modality it is you choose to leap into, it's the right way. And I think that's a big thing that I see with coaches and within like the healing industry, is that they feel like if you do not do it their way, it's the wrong way, which I'm so against. And that's why when I talk about things and I offer things, there's never this form of attachment. And that's the whole thing that I'm all about, is disattaching from outcomes and disattaching from everything. That's the whole process of enlightenment. And when it comes to healers and it comes to coaches, a lot of them feel that if you're not doing it using their product or whatever, then it's the wrong way. Whereas in reality, I don't care what you do, as long as you're doing something to move you forward, and you get to go through this experience and see what works, right? And if you want advice, like it's an incredible way to look at what people do, people that you know, you like, and you trust, right? And seeing what they do and then exploring and trying those options, because what worked for somebody, like it very well could work for you. So thank you for coming on and just sharing like all of these different things. I know there's so many other things that you've done too. I know we did like an ecstatic dance one time.
Oh yeah.
We did that. Like we
Vision
could
board
talk about the
workshops.
value, vision board, yeah, nutrition, emotional
Yeah.
clearing stuff. Like you've been big on really like big community events, like
Yes.
so many things. But it truly is just like, what is it that you feel is in alignment for you that is going to move you that step forward, and just go for it. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks you should do. And when we can, like you said, start taking that power back within ourselves and stop waiting for other people to approve of what we're doing, that's when you're going to find the biggest results. And I'm so grateful because I learned a lot of that from you. And I feel like I'm still kind of stepping into that, where I'm just like not giving a fuck what other people think. And I'm just doing it because I know that it's in alignment with me. And I actually trust who I am as a person, who I've become, to be able to trust myself in making those decisions. And a lot of that was from like watching your journey. And it's just been such an honor to like just be at your side watching all of this magic unfold. And I'm curious if you'd be open to sharing a little bit more about what your vision is for your own personal business, because you're in the process of starting your business, because you really want to be able to allow this ripple to continue out, because you truly, like after listening to this, I'm sure everybody sees that you have so much wisdom, so much experience, and so much value to be able to share with people.
Sure. Well, just before COVID started, I actually was ready to launch my business, and I just kind of put it off. And it's funny again how the universe does its thing, and just it didn't happen. Like I got my website and everything all ready to go, and then COVID hit, and it's just been, I keep changing, like things just keep on transforming into more and more, and I get more experiences, and I think, oh wow, like I mean, it's just become so obvious that there's so much value that could help people, because I know how many people are struggling right now at this time with different areas. There's been, like myself, like so many people who have realized that things that aren't serving them are not worth staying in, like like you know, like moving into like new, going beyond being married and having a life with your kids and whatever, and also just aging in general. So it's really become really evident to me that my passion is in helping people to move forward and to age gratefully, really, and healthy. And there's so many different things that we can do to make that happen. So I really have decided that that's where my business is going with me. So just to coach people and help them to move forward in whatever way works for them. Like, everybody's story is different. So I just feel like I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of connections. I just, and it's not that everything that I've done is right for everybody, but it's just, again, just to open people's awareness to what is available for them and help them to move forward and live their best life moving forward into the golden years. Because I hear people sarcastically saying, oh, these are supposed to be the golden years they talk about, right? But it's truly what you make of it. And I mean, if you want to wait too long, you might not ever have those golden years that are truly the golden years, right? So I think just helping people, especially with their nutrition, like, I think that's a big thing, where I really feel like just because of the way society has allowed so much nutrition, or what's so-called food, that's like, it's nothing to do with nutrition. Like, I'm a big advocate for eating healthy and the proper things as well. So yeah, I just want to educate people, really, and help them to move forward and find solutions for whatever they're looking to better.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so
I
much for
think that
sharing
life is
that.
so
And
worth living, right? And there's no reason to just get old and feel bad. Like, and I see more and more people now that are realizing that. So, like, it is inspiring, but I know there's still a lot of people struggling. So, and I mean, it's not easy to make changes. So, and I totally get that, but I mean, it's so worth it. And we can all do it. We all have it within us. But I will say just one last quick thing there, Laura, before it's not easy to make changes. And especially when you're really programmed to like to be, like, say, an empath that cares for other people, and you want to please people, and it's just how you've always been. It's hard to kind of make that disconnection between always making everybody else happy and making yourself happy. And I really truly believe, like, we need to learn, like, especially, I mean, well, to me, the younger you can learn it, the better. But I think especially if you've already gone, like, say, like, as far as I have, and then you have to make all these changes. I don't know, it's not easy, again, like I say, but it is possible. And, like, you just have to really it's almost like you have to really become selfish, but in a nice way. And it is possible, because again, it's that programming. We've been programmed that being selfish is a bad thing, but that's really, I guess, bottom line, that's really what my business is about is just learning how to be selfish and self-care and all the good things that you can do. So
and the most
sorry,
beautiful
that was
thing
kind of
about
a long
it,
version.
that's okay. No, that's perfect. There's no timeline on this, just free flow. And the most beautiful thing about that is when you start taking care of yourself, your energy is better, and it literally impacts, like, the ripple. Like, we undervalue what we provide by taking care of ourselves and nurturing ourselves, and how much doing that first. Just like an airplane, they say, like, put your oxygen mask on before you put it on your kids. It's the exact same concept, that when we take care of ourselves better, we can then actually hold more space for other people, right? And think about it. If I'm in a place where I can't even control my own emotions and stuff, if I have a friend that is needing help, how am I supposed to how am I, like, supposed to be there, or even capable of being there for that person, when I can't even take care of myself? I either say yes, which is me not setting boundaries on my own personal well-being, and then I take on their stuff as well, which makes me even worse and probably won't even help that person that much. Or I say no, and then that person doesn't get help from me. Whereas if I take care of myself and my own energy first, I'm then either able to say yes, because I have the space to be able to help that person, and I can actually hold space and provide that, like the space for them to be able to talk about things without taking on those emotions myself. Or even if I'm not in a bad place, but I know how to self-care, I can then say no. And I actually had to say this to a friend just a couple days ago, and I'm so grateful for the friendships that I've cultivated over the last few years, because I just said, like, you know what, I'm not able to hold space right now, but like, take care of yourself, like do your self-care, do this. And like, like we've got other friends to be able to do, but for me saying no, I just didn't have the space right now to do that. I was able to take care of myself and get myself in a good space. And then by the end of the day, when we reconnected, we were both in a good space again. Right. Whereas if I had said yes when I wasn't in a good space, it probably wouldn't have done any good to that person. It wouldn't have been good for me. And then at the end of the day, both of us would have been in a bad place.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
even just sometimes we have to let go of, people or things in our lives that just, they're not helping us to be the best person that we can be. Like sometimes just, cutting some cords is the way to do that as
Totally.
well. Like there's just, yeah, there are so many different things that we can do to help ourselves, which again, like you say, the
Mm-hmm.
ripple effect goes up. And you're also setting a good example for people around you as well when you're in that
Yes.
place, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think we undervalue how much we're teaching through being.
exactly. That's right. And I think a lot of it too, like a lot of times we think of self-care as like, like getting our hair done or getting I mean, it is. I'm not saying it isn't, because I love to get my hair done and whatever too, and it makes me feel good as well. But I think people get caught up more in that, like, going and buying a new purse and new clothes
Yeah.
and those kind of things as self-care, or, like there's a lot of different things that, yeah, they're for self-care, but they're also, there's more to it, right? It's not
It's like an
about
outer physical appearance opposed to the inner
exactly,
physical appearance. Yeah.
exactly.
And it's
And I
shifting
think
now to really
truly,
understanding that inner.
yeah, exactly. Because I think truly, like, I mean, I've done it too. Like, I've always cared about how I look on the outside to everybody else as well. But really, when I mean, you would never have seen me on here like this before, like the old June,
Same.
because I would have to be all perfect before I got on here, right? Like as perfect as I could be anyway, right? So it's funny how we change, and you can just when you get to that place, like you can just let go of all these things. Like you don't, like, what is perfect anyway?
It's all
So
just a
it's,
construct.
we just make life so complicated, and truly it doesn't need to be, but it's, again, we've been programmed, so it's not our fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we truly just have to be patient with ourselves on our own journey. So
Definitely.
thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing your story and sharing all of the wisdom that you have. I'm just so excited for you, and I'm so proud of you for like stepping into really taking care of yourself so that you could be in this point that you are right now, where you're beginning to really step into the impact that you can make. Because I know that in your lifetime, your 60th birthday coming up,
Yeah.
it's literally like I'm so excited to just kind of see where you go from here and what legacy you create with your lifetime, because you just have so much value to be able to offer people. And I'm sure everybody can see like your heart is just massive, and you come from this just pure place of light and love. So thank you for being in my life. Thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing everything with everybody. If anybody has any questions or would like to reach out or contact you, how can they go about doing that?
The best way probably would be just my email or on Facebook.
Yeah.
Would that be a good
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, or Instagram. Your
Or
Instagram handle is just at June
Instagram.
Plahuta.
Just at June Plahuta. Yeah, that's probably the easiest
Okay.
way. Instagram at June
Okay.
Plahuta. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
my hub.
or Facebook.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, either way is good. Yeah. And I do have an email
Mhm.
as well. It's j_plahuta@hotmail.com. So
Perfect. And I'll put all of those in the show notes down below. If you're watching the video on YouTube, or if you're watching it, the audio, or sorry, listening to the audio on the podcast, I'll put all of those in the notes so that you can reach out and just
Mhm.
know that both of us are here for you. We love you. We see you. And we're just so proud of you for being on this podcast, to just listening to both of us talk for a while now, just really soaking in any information that you can, and in hopes of improving your own life in whatever way that is that you're looking to improve it. So thank you for just expanding your minds and opening your hearts to an entirely new way of being, because you truly can create your life exactly how you want. There's no limits on how amazing your life can be. And life truly does just keep getting better and better when you start on this path to improving your self-worth and understanding that your self-care is not selfish, and that it's actually selfless. And when you start doing that, it really does amplify the impact that you can create in the world. So thank you so much, June, for being on here with us today.
No, my pleasure.
Any last words?
I would just say, just always remember that you can be, do, or have anything you put your mind to. Anything is possible. And the ripple effect, once you get started, you need to get started, but the ripple effect is just unbelievable. You just never know what the universe is going to open up for you. Just be open. Open your mind and open your heart and let things happen. You'll be guided.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you so much again for being on here. And I hope that everybody has an incredible day. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.